Okay, let's do a weather model discussion here for Thursday, March 30th. How's it going, everyone? William Cole here in the Storm Studios. And I tell you what, it's hard to believe it is already March the 30th, heading into April. And of course, climatologically speaking, now is the time. Our pattern's supposed to be picking up. Severe weather is supposed to be more frequent into April into May. And I tell you what, looking at the forecast here, the potential is there as we go over the next 10 days or so. Of course, this is our behind the scenes look at how we're putting together the forecast of the day. A little bit different than what we typically put on our channel as opposed to the pretty TV graphics. We're going to be looking at the raw data, kind of analyzing, again, the overall setup here in the short term, and also a quick peek at the extended forecast coming up as well. Again, we typically put this on our social media, so we're talking about YouTube, Instagram, or even on Facebook. Of course, if you're seeing it on one of those platforms, feel free to give it a like, and again, feel free to leave a comment or a question below as well. We typically do these, we're trying to do these at least Monday through Friday. Okay, so we've got a lot going on, right? We know we have an opportunity maybe of some severe weather today. The way it looks right now, more than likely we're going to be talking about showery activity, kind of what I've been talking about on the air today as well. Kind of a low-end opportunity maybe in our northeastern counties of a couple stronger storms. I'll show you that coming up. And then as we get into tomorrow, Friday, it's going to be feast or famine. Some folks will see rain and storms, some folks will not. And even the opportunity of severe weather, a little spotty for tomorrow, Friday. We'll have another opportunity of rainstorms, probably severe weather on Sunday. And then the end of next week looks pretty unsettled as well. So a lot going on. And by the way, we may have some temperatures in excess of 90 degrees early next week as well. What do you think about that, right? Okay, let's go and dive into this here. And let's see, and we do have the telestrator working today. It seems like every day for the last week we've had issues with that, but I've double checked it and it is working, so that will help with this. But first, let's go and check this out. Again, looking at downtown Dallas from our Reunion Tower cam, 4K, great shot. And again, what are you seeing? Gray skies. Simply put, that's been the rule of the afternoon, right? It's been gray, it's been humid, it's been pretty warm out there though. And again, things are kind of percolating, right? We've had a cap, a limiting factor above the surface that for the most part has suppressed any activity as we've gone through the day. We're getting the temperatures up there enough, not that we're overly warm. We'll look at temperatures though, but we're getting some instability to build, and we are beginning to bubble up a few showers and again a couple rumbles of thunder out there as well. Temperatures generally speaking here, you know, you could say mid to upper 60s, officially now 70 at DFW, more in the way of mid 60s up along the Red River Valley. Our friends down to the south, Corsicana, maybe down through the Palestine area, some mid 70s down there. Also Hillsborough down in Hill County, some 70s there too. Okay, let's do this. Let's go and jump over to the raw data. And this is what this segment is all about. And what we're going to do, we're going to take a look at radar and satellite here first of all. And this is what I'm trying to get to. How about that right there? And this is just off the next lab. Again, this is something we use here. Again, not something we show on the air. Again, this is just something we look at here in the Storm Studio. And a couple things you're noticing here. Number one, just in case you're wondering, the Metroplex will be right about here. Okay, so here's the Metroplex if you're wondering where we are. And you can see the cloud cover, right? It's moving at the mid and upper levels to the northeast. Can you see that? The low gray stratus cloud cover, the area white that's not really moving, that's the low cloud cover, right? But once you get above that, as you get into kind of the jet stream flow, again, mid to upper levels, see this cloud cover here streaking off to the northeast. So we're in what we call southwesterly flow. Okay, not really a big deal. The only reason I'm highlighting that is that we had a little impulse embedded within that flow. It's not the lead wave we were talking about yesterday. It's not the big upper level storm I'll show you well off to the west, but this was just kind of a quiet hidden feature that we picked up on earlier today. That's what's moving across the area, and truly that's what's just sparking some of the showers, and again, even a few of the rumbles of thunder. It's moving through fairly quickly. In fact, as you look up here towards the Oklahoma border, that right there is the Oklahoma-Texas border, a lot of the activity is now pushing already into Oklahoma. So again, I think if we were going to see a severe storm or two, which I think the overall probabilities today, I'll be honest, I really think they're pretty low. I'll show you what the Storm Prediction Center thinks momentarily. I would most likely say it's going to be up here in this area. Okay, and the temperatures up there honestly are not even quite as warm as what some of the data was showing. Okay, but if it were to happen, it'd probably be up there. And again, today everything is elevated. None of this would be surface based, and all we'd be talking about is some $quarter to $half size hell. So we're not talking about high end severe. We're talking about, you know, again, severe is severe. It's a big deal. We get it. But as you analyze it and the type of severe we can get here, that would definitely be on the lower end, right? And we all understand that. Okay, so let's come back over here. Again, right now in the Metroplex, by the way, a couple sprinkles possible. We'll see. I've still got a 30% opportunity for this evening. We may have a few showers around the Metroplex. We may not either. And so your evening commute may be dry completely. We'll see. If not, it would probably be kind of damp. We have a lot of available moisture, what we call our precipitable water values. They're extremely high, well above normal. So any showers or rumbles of thunder that do develop, they could really put down some very heavy rain, right? That will also be the case tomorrow as well. So just something else to keep in mind. Okay, from there, let's take a look up top, right? So now we're going to take a look at the upper air chart. We know what's going on at the surface. We're cloudy. We've got a few showers now bubbling around. Temperatures are in the 60s, they're in the 70s. Everything kind of playing out so far, well, exactly the way we thought it would, right? Which is good. If we have a surprise, that's never a good thing, okay? So here's what we're watching on the upper air chart. Take a look out on the west coast. That's the big dip, right? There's the parent area of low pressure. That's the mother storm, if you will, right? That's what's going to be ejecting out as we get into tomorrow. And again, it's what's going to push a cold front down into our area. It's going to give us that secondary opportunity tomorrow, Friday, of more rain and storms. Now, if you look at this carefully, you can see just kind of this embedded little ripple, right? That's coming in the southwesterly flow into North Texas, right? So we're getting a little ripple, which again is kind of causing some of that activity. Of course, yesterday we were talking about a lead wave just ahead of the main storm system. Sometimes that can really cause some active weather. And as we go through spring, you know, if you get everything to recover and you have some features that set up just right, the lead wave sometimes can be the bigger deal, okay? In this situation, it's really not. It's really not going to be a player for us whatsoever. It will be up in Nebraska. There will be an opportunity of some severe weather up in Nebraska. I'll show you coming up. Outside of that, again, just quickly analyzing what's going on around the country. Again, you can see a ridging pattern in the deep south. The folks down there that have had, you know, 7 days in a row of severe weather, tornado outbreaks, all that kind of craziness, they're getting a break down there right now. And again, the main reason why, again, they're in that ridging pattern. And, you know, elsewhere, things, you know, relatively quiet around the country, right? It's all about this current deep storm trough that again is moving through. Let's go look at the Storm Prediction Center outlooks. Let me make sure you can see that. Let me see if I can zoom this in just a little bit, give you a better look. And it is that time of year we're on these discussions. We've got to take a look at this. You know, chances are we may have some type of an outlook here. Today we do. We have a marginal risk. Remember, and this is just a reminder, if you're new to watching these or you're new to North Texas or whatever it is, the way the severe weather outlooks from the Storm Prediction Center work, the categorical risk, marginal, slight, enhanced, moderate, high, they go by how many and the coverage of severe weather, not how intense the severe weather may be. You could have a marginal risk with the most intense storm of the entire year, but it would more than likely be just one storm, right? So marginal means a severe thunderstorm warning, tornado warning, whatever it is, or two, but probably not very many or maybe none at all, okay? Slight, similar story, but the confidence is a little bit higher. We'll have a couple. You get to enhanced risk, you're normally talking about a line of storms with multiple warnings possible. Moderate means potential outbreak, trying to develop something significant, and then high is kind of the upper end. You have something very significant that again, more than likely will be potentially in the history books, right, that you can look back on. So today we have a marginal, okay, so we're nowhere near anything else, but we do along the Red River Valley have that marginal risk, meaning could we have one of those cells up there go pulse severe? Could we have some $1.25 to $1/2 size hail? It's possible, but we may not at all, okay? So that's the thinking for today into tonight. Let's go and look at tomorrow, Friday. And tomorrow, Friday, here locally, we still have that marginal risk, essentially from Dallas off to the east, and in fact, our far northeastern counties are in a slight risk. Similar story, we're going to have a line of storms along a cold front. I'll show you the model data on this coming up, and we may have a few severe thunderstorm warnings. Again, in the grand scheme of things, could have a tornado warning, but the primary concern would be hail and wind tomorrow, but the coverage will be a little bit spottier, okay, and it's not going to be a higher end deal, right? But look what else we have going on around the country. We've got an enhanced area, okay, across parts of the Midwest, Tennessee River Valley, but also embedded we have two separate moderate risks. When is the last time you've seen two separate, again, within an outlook, not one moderate risk, but two moderate risks? Well, answer the question, you have to go back all the way to 1998 to find that, okay? So that's not very common, right? Typically, you'll see one moderate risk. They normally don't segment them like that. It has happened before, obviously. Like I mentioned, 1998 is the last time. But we've got the opportunity of high-end severe weather again tomorrow. And, you know, a lot of folks are beginning to ask, I mean, I've even with my friends have had the question come up. I mean, are we seeing more in the way of high-end severe weather? I mean, we're talking about tornado outbreaks. It seems like as we've gone through March, we've had a lot happening. And kind of the answer at first was no, not really. But now as we're getting more and more higher end opportunities, the answer is yes. I mean, we actually are. And the thing you have to remember, we're going from a La Nina, which is not always favorable for severe weather. And we know that here in North Texas over the last couple of years, we're now going neutral and forecasting into an El Nino, which would be a pretty active pattern. Typically is a pretty active pattern for us. So again, if you're new to the area, or again, you've lived in North Texas for a while, and you know the last couple of years, as we've been really stuck in this La Nina, and you're like, the severe weather kind of seems to be going away, or some people say, it's shifting off to the east and this and that. Hold your breath on that, because again, right now we're neutral, but we're potentially shifting back to that El Nino. And again, the pattern here in the southern plains, potentially this season, even into this fall, could be pretty active, right? So we'll see how that plays out. But it does appear as though now we are getting the opportunity of not just talking about here locally, but around the country. Are we seeing more in the way of higher end severe weather days? I think the answer is yeah. Tomorrow, tornado outbreaks possible. These are the tornado probabilities, hatched red. So again, tornadoes are a concern. Not here locally. Again, I'm talking about off. Obviously, you can see that for yourself. Again, could we have a tornado warning tomorrow? Not impossible. I'm going to show you our data, because the computer model data coming up momentarily, because for us, it's going to be a little more hit and miss, okay? And really, it's even hard to kind of take away here from the SPC outlook, okay? So we'll get to ours coming up again here just momentarily. And just a quick look, again, wind, a big concern off to the north, up across parts of the Corn Belt into the Midwest, and also hail being a big concern up there with supercells. Could be a big time supercell day, again, up across parts of the Corn Belt and the Midwest, okay? So if you have friends, family, loved ones who live up there, make sure they're staying plugged into the weather for tomorrow, Friday. Again, we have our own weather. We are going to talk about that, I promise. But again, ours, it's really going to be hit and miss tomorrow. It's going to be hit and miss. And then let me go and take you out into Saturday. And again, we've got a marginal risk, again, across parts of the Northeast, and then also from the Carolinas into parts of Georgia. I want to quickly take a look here at our day 4, which would be our Sunday. Right now, Storm Prediction Center is still not highlighting anything. They're saying predictability too low. We're going to have a fast-moving, very progressive storm system moving through. I'll show you coming up. We may have an opportunity of severe weather on Sunday, right? The devil's in the details. We say that all the time. It's going to be moving through fairly quickly. The warm front may not be able to get back up to the north soon enough. But we will have an opportunity of some rain, some storms, the way it looks on Sunday. And again, depending on how the weather pieces of the puzzle come together, if they come together just right, we could have a decent round of severe weather, or the storm system may be long gone and it just comes through rather too fast. So we'll have to see exactly how that plays out. Okay, so from there, let's come over to the model data. And this is what it's all about now. Right now, we're really going to focus back in on what we have going, and I'll go and walk you through the next couple of days. So again, we're picking up here at that upper air chart, right? This is what we call the 500 millibar chart, 18,000 feet up. We're looking for dips, right? Okay, we're looking for storm troughs, active weather, or we're looking for ridges, kind of like inverted U's, which typically mean calmer weather. As we head into the summer months, those will typically mean hotter weather for us as well, right? The colors you're seeing in there, those are areas of vorticity or areas of spin, typically embedded within those storm troughs, right? Okay, so we know about the big storm out to the west. Let me go ahead and just show you this one more time. Here's our big storm coming in. Ahead of it, we're in the southwesterly flow, okay, for tonight. Let me go and roll this into motion. Okay, so here comes our storm for tomorrow. Notice again, it truly tracks off to the north, right? One of the reasons why the higher end opportunity of severe weather is going to be, off to the northeast. Look at where the core of the storm is, right? Look at where the core is. It's up here. It's moving into the Corn Belt. It's moving into the Midwest. You can kind of see that vorticity lobe wrap around. Okay, this is a big time negative tilt trough, right? When you look at a trough, if it leans imagine it on an axis, right? If it leans back to the left, that's a negative tilt. Not always, but primarily that can be more conducive for severe weather, okay? So that storm system, it's kind of a swing and a miss for us. It's going to push a cold front down into our area. We'll have some instability. We'll try and interact with that cold front. Again, as far as jet dynamics, jet stream, upper air support, things that can really get severe weather to kick up and go, we're not necessarily going to have that, right? But we're going to have the potential for some severe weather tomorrow, okay? We'll talk more about that coming up. Let me just walk you through the rest of the time here. And again, this is the European model. This will take us out about 10 days. Okay, from there, let me go and just start highlighting this. Look at this little storm system, little shortwave trough here that's sneaking on the California coast. Now watch that. Okay, the other storm's pulling away, so you can let that one go. That's no longer going to influence our weather, but watch this other little trough, little shortwave. That's for Sunday, but it moves directly across North Texas. Okay, but it's booking it. It's moving at a high rate of speed. So here's the question, right? So as those come out, you'll begin to get the surface flow because obviously we have a cold front coming through Friday. We're going to have a northerly wind, right? That's going to push a cold front down towards the coastal plains. So ahead of this storm system, what happens? Counterclockwise spin, you always have a southerly wind redevelop ahead of these areas of low pressure, right? So that's why you get the warm front always lifting back to the north ahead of them because they're, again, with southerly winds, bringing in our situation here locally, that warm Gulf of Mexico moisture, right? But if it comes through too quickly and you just get a quick return flow of southerly winds, you can't really get that warm front up in time and the storm system shoots by and then doesn't matter, right? And that doesn't mean you can't still have, it'll still provide lift. There will still be an opportunity of some rain, some storms. But the big question as we go through spring, and you'll hear this through the entire spring, warm fronts can typically bring you, not always, but they can typically bring you, again, not enhanced severe weather like what we're seeing up to the north where you really have the jet stream in play, but it can give you opportunities of getting some decent severe weather to go, okay? In this situation, we don't really have the jet stream. There's a lot of things missing with this one, right? But again, if we were able to get a warm front back up into the area, my eyes personally would be looking and maybe a little more concerned, okay? But right now it may just come through too quick, okay? So we'll watch that storm, okay? So there's Sunday. There's our next opportunity of rain after Friday. After that, notice the jet stream. It's moving from west to east, zonal flow, sometimes a progressive pattern. In this situation, not really, because after Sunday, take a look at that. We don't have much showing up until the middle of next week. And then what do we have? We've got another big dip coming through, but it's coming. This one's going to come out in two pieces. The initial part, Tuesday into Wednesday, where does it go? Similar story. It goes off to the north. See that? It's trending off to the north, but it's going to wrap down another lobe of energy. Take a look at this towards the end of the week. Look at this. And the newest data here is slowing that down even more. Okay, so you saw, just to make sure you're seeing this because this is really important. Okay, so you saw this piece of energy. This piece broke off, but now it's stalling. The newest data here is stalling this out behind it, so it's not even coming out as soon like Thursday, Friday timeframe. It's stalling out, but notice what's happening just ahead of that. We're back in the southwesterly pattern, and the southwesterly pattern can also be a very warm pattern. And that's one of the reasons why next week our temperatures are going to jump, right? So we have that storm. It comes through, kind of a swing and a miss again for us. It shoots off to the north. It breaks off a piece. The piece that's broken off is taking its time now coming out. We're stuck in southwesterly flow. Our temperatures jump, and then we're waiting now for the secondary piece. So let's see what happens. Again, this is the newest data. Let's see what happens with this. And there, and look at that. It cuts off. It cuts off. You see that? It gets really cut off and it almost stalls out across parts of the desert southwest. But you see little pieces of energy coming out, little vorticity pieces that come out. So we'll begin to introduce rain probabilities, but that's going to be kind of a prolonged, maybe like a 3, 4, 5 day opportunity of maybe some rain and maybe even some severe weather, right? I mean, eventually as that comes out, that's by day 10, may offer us a real deal opportunity of severe weather because you can see the latitude with that is quite a bit lower. It's going to move through our area and not go up towards the Corn Belt, okay? But again, that's, kind of even changed since this morning. The overall setup hasn't changed, but it's just slowed down quite a bit more. And that'll be the big question over the weekend. We'll be watching carefully. Does that truly stay that slow or does it go ahead and swing on out? Okay, so regardless, we're in an active pattern. I mean, compared to the last few springs, again, if you're new here, if you lived here for a while, we're in a very active pattern. And again, we're going to have some weather changes happening over the next 10 days for sure. You'll want to stay plugged in with the weather. Not all of this equates to severe weather for sure, but it does equate to active weather. Okay, so from there, let's go ahead and take a look, and we've got to speed this up a little bit, guys. I'm sorry, I've got to do our regular weather too on the channel. It seems like we're just, sometimes we do really good on time with these, and then sometimes we just we're stuck in slow-mo. So, okay, this is the 850 millibar chart. Just quickly here looking for any kind of air mass change over the next 10 days as we have these fronts moving through. Is there any significant air mass change? Here comes cold front 1. Again, not really a big deal for us. We go into that southwesterly flow. Look at those temperatures jump. I've got us in the lower 90s next week. We may even have some mid-90s with the newest data coming in. Here comes that next storm by midweek. You can see it pulling off. And then here eventually comes, I'm just going to really speed this forward in time. Here eventually comes that next storm out. But again, our temperatures after that stay pretty stable, about where we should be. We'll put actual numbers. I know we're just looking at colors. That's just to kind of get the concept of what's going on. We'll put actual numbers with that coming up. But what I want to do, I just want to take a quick peek here at the high-res data. We're going to go from the Euro over to the HRR model, HRRR, High Resolution Rapid Refresh model. And I'll back this up one into the 18Z, right? So this updates hourly, but 4 times per day, you get a 48-hour run, okay? And so what I did, I just backed it up one into that 48-hour run, so that way I'm able to walk you through. You can see a few showers are going to be possible this evening. There it is. A couple rumbles of thunder up along the Red River Valley still look possible. Overnight, we get pretty quiet. I mean, there could be a few showers around. It still doesn't really look like anything major overnight. I've got about a 20% opportunity in overnight. And then let's go and take a look at this. For tomorrow, this is the latest run. Here comes the front. But notice what happens. I mean, this truly develops everything off to the east of the Metroplex. Our far eastern counties, even east of Lamar County now, even over into like Red River County, like out of our coverage area, over towards the Arklatex. And then our far southern counties and southeastern counties, like down around Palestine, I mean, stuff develops maybe there and then moves on. I mean, the front tomorrow, and I still don't think this is totally locked in. We may still be able to get something to develop. I've still got a 40% rain probability in for the Metroplex tomorrow. And we would, I mean, you know, if this really holds, we'll have to dramatically drop that to maybe like 20%. So tomorrow could be a swing and a miss for us, okay? And the reason it's just been so questionable is because that storm is just so far to the north, right? It's displaced to the north, and we're literally just waiting on a cold front to come through. And again, we don't really have much jet support or anything. We're just trying to bubble up some convection along a front, and it doesn't look that favorable tomorrow. This trend has kind of been ongoing now for the last couple of days. So I'm not saying that we won't see anything in the Metroplex tomorrow, but we may not see a lot, and it may turn out we don't see anything, okay? So you're seeing that right there as well. Okay, from there, one more thing I want to show you before we move on, and like I said, we've really got to kick this into high gear. I just want to show you the dew points, because even though this is a cold front coming through, this is a Pacific cold front. It's coming in kind of from the west, and it's going to bring in, I mean, when I say some dry air, it's going to bring in some crazy dry air. In fact, sunset tomorrow, Friday evening, we may even have some suspended dust coming in from West Texas. In the Metroplex. Let me just see if I can find this again. It's so hard to see in this little browser. Let me go and show you this here as well. Very quickly. And this is the dew point. Okay, so yellow is moist in this situation. Pink is dry. And here comes the Pacific cold front, right? So behind it, it's not necessarily a colder air mass, it is a bone dry air mass. Fire danger, by the way, is going to be a really big concern in our western counties tomorrow. If you live out west, rule, no burning, really do your due diligence. I know things are beginning to green up, but it looks pretty critical out there tomorrow. But look at that dry air mass. I mean, we'll have dew points in the Texas Panhandle and parts of West Texas heading into Friday evening of like -2. Dew point of -2. -2. It's worth saying one more time, -2 will be the dew point like out around Amarillo. I mean, that's some bone dry air. So yeah, so even here in the Metroplex, our dew points will be dropping into the 20s, like the mid-20s. So again, once that comes through, It won't be so much that it's going to be a blast of cold air. It's going to be dry air. In fact, tomorrow our temperatures are going to jump into the 80s because dry air warms so easy. We'll actually warm our temperatures tomorrow into the 80s behind the actual cold front. Okay, let me go and show you let's go back to the Euro. Let's go with precip here for the next 10 days. And I'm going to skip through. Again, this is what we just looked at with the high-res data. Tonight, tomorrow. Okay, let's take a look now at Sunday. Here's Sunday. Still scattered activity around on Sunday. I've got a 40% opportunity. We'll see exactly how that plays out. You can see the darker greens, probably where the warm front gets hung up further to the south because that system is so progressive and comes through so quickly. So we'll monitor that, obviously heading into the weekend. We'll deal with what we have now going on today, tomorrow, and then we'll really hone into that Sunday through the weekend. And then as we get into next week, we're waiting on that next, slow-mo system to come out. There's Thursday. Scattered activity develops, and then again that thing begins to slowly swing out. There's Thursday night and a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then looks like by Sunday into Monday it truly begins to swing on through. So the end of next week is going to be unsettled. Could be rain, could be stronger, could be severe. We'll see exactly how that plays out, and also if it's actually that slow, right? If it comes out sooner or quicker, it'll change all of that completely. And when you're talking about 8, 9, 10 days down the road, obviously we all know things can evolve with that fairly quickly and easily. Okay, let's go and look at temperatures here. This is just based off the blend of models. And 83 tomorrow, again, even though we have the cold front, remember we're going to have this bone dry, dew points in the 20s, air mass move in, dry air warms easy, so we're going to bump the temperature tomorrow up to 83. A little cooler on Saturday, 73, still a good looking day for any weekend plans. Sunday, 78, more humid as the humidity tries to return. We'll see exactly how much humidity we can get back in the area. Maybe some storms around on Sunday. Southwesterly flow Monday into Tuesday, 90, 89. Could even be a little bit warmer. Let me just look at the Euro data real quick here. And Euro basically the same. They're about 90, 88, 90, 88. I'm at 92 on Tuesday of this upcoming week. So we'll be in the 90s. We'll see exactly how that plays out. And then we trend down some. We trend down about to where we should be, right? A typical high will be about 73, 74, and we'll be somewhere between about 70, 75 as we go through a good part of the following week. And one of the reasons why is because we're eventually going to have that big storm coming out. And obviously towards the end of that, we'll have some rain chances back in the forecast as well. So no major downs. We do have one big up for temperatures, and that would be Monday and into Tuesday. Okay, so a pretty active pattern, truly, as we go over the next 10 days. And even if you try and look out a little bit further with some of the other data, continues to pinpoint a pretty active and progressive pattern that we're going to continue to be in. Just a quick reminder on our mobile app. If you have not downloaded it, be sure to do it today. It's a free download, Apple iTunes and Google Play stores. Just type in Weather Tracker TV DFW, and of course you can watch our typical live channel on there, my 12-day forecast, all of our other weather maps, all that kind of fun stuff, live radar as well, breaking weather alerts. All that is on there. Otherwise, thanks for watching our weather model discussion. Again, we had a lot to talk about today, kind of had to rush through it, but we got to get on the air now and do some regular weather as well. So otherwise, enjoy the rest of your Thursday late afternoon, and again, we'll do another one of these tomorrow.